So when we were planning Telepathy Camp, we knew that we needed a large enough container that people knew where to go and when to show up. And within that container, we would explore telepathy with plants, animals, and each other. What we didn't know is that there would be other people attending the camp who had telepathic abilities beyond those. For instance, this is Kathryn. She's a psychic medium whose gifts turned online just a couple years ago. She'd spent most of her life in corporate America doing finance. So at one point, someone was like, Kathryn, isn't being a medium kind of like telepathy with those who have passed? And then the whole group's like, Kathryn, would you be willing to do a reading for us? And she was. And this is what happened.
So I'm going to assume that not everyone has been to a demonstration of mediumship like this with a group of people, and just explain how I work and how a demonstration works. So I invite spirit to decide who comes through. So it will be a surprise to all of us who comes through. So I ask you all to keep an open mind. Spirit doesn't necessarily like code words, that narrows your focus. So keep an open mind. It could be a friend, it could be family. It doesn't have to be someone in your family. I ask, so sometimes the person who you most want to hear from is the person who comes through. Sometimes it's someone who most wants to communicate with you. It could be someone who's been hanging on to a message for a long time. It also could be someone who comes through because they're a good energetic match for me in this moment, in this environment. But know that whatever comes through, even if it is not for you, like a reading for you, there will be pieces in it for you to take. So it's like a birthday, and it's one person's birthday, but everybody gets a piece of cake. So keep your mind open to things that feel like they resonate, because that's for you. Spirit has the ability to communicate many things at the same time to many different people and give it that energetic imprint. So it doesn't have to line up with everything, but if you feel like that, just trust that is meant for you. The other thing that could happen in platform events like this, or just, large groups, is that more than one person may be able to identify the person. Like they might have similarities. Don't be afraid to raise your hand if it makes sense to you and someone else has already raised their hand. That's fine. I can either try to separate them, or they may be coming through together because they share some experiences or traits, and they're just meant to come through together. That just could be it also. The other thing is people tend to get nervous at the, it's like a lot of energy. We all are going to start feeling some energy. You may forget someone really close to you, like you just may have like spirit amnesia. So if nobody can take a spirit, I will move on, but keep your mind open that you might, in a half hour, recognize them. It's okay, this is just all part of the experience. Whatever is meant to happen is what's going to happen. So then if I am working with you, if you can take the spirit, often once someone can recognize them, the energy will build. We are all holding energy together. We're all holding space for our loved ones in spirit to come forward, and we're holding space for people receiving a reading. You're holding space for me with all this energy. So we're all just holding space here. And once someone can recognize them, the energy tends to build a little bit. And I just need you to validate, yes, you recognize that it makes sense with them. No, it doesn't, or I don't know. And just know that around 85% is a very good hit. It's not always 100%. I will try to give things that are very specific, like names, but if you can't take the name, let it go. Part of my job is to not filter at all and just let it go. So that means I'm going to give the name whether it hits or not. It might be the person, it might be you, it might be someone connected to them, so keep your mind open for that. It comes in surprising ways. I'm working on a new way of doing my mediumship where I'm trying to have it be a little bit of teaching. And so this is actually the perfect place for me to practice that. So I go into a light altered consciousness, which is the same altered consciousness you have when you're driving and you forget that you got there. So this is going to be hard for me to remember to think, but not think. So I may, But what I'm going to hopefully do is I'm going to try and let you know what clair I'm using when I get the message. That will hopefully let you all know, because you all might be feeling things too. And then I'm going to try and let you know the kind of evidence. And then if you are comfortable, once I've worked with you, once the spirit has come through, and I'll try to do quick ones. If you're comfortable sharing a little bit about that person, it helps everyone else who isn't getting a message understand how the evidence works, because it might be a little bit nuanced. Your intuition is coming into play. Your interpretation of the evidence comes into play. So other people can see how it's making sense and that story is making sense to you. It's all part of like teaching about how mediumship works, which I think is part of the point of mediumship, is to let us all know we're kind of doing a little bit of this all the time. So Kindy's gonna do a little prayer to center us.
This is the same meditation I've been
Same, I love it though, it's so perfect.
Just closing the eyes, putting your feet flat on the floor if possible. Taking a couple deep breaths here. We ask all guides and guardians to create a sacred space. We ask that only beings of the light be allowed and act in assistance to the greater good. We ask that messages received come through with clarity and the greatest support to the beings we are connecting with. Take a moment to visualize your aura and heart opening like a blossom to greet these beings. Now sense golden light falling down like a waterfall from the sky, entering into the top of your head and down into your heart. Let that energy sit in your heart, stir in your heart. Now send your awareness into the heart of the earth, visualizing this grounding cord anchored into the center of Mother Earth. Pull the energy of Mother Earth up into your root center, sacral, solar plexus, and into your heart, merging the energy of Spirit and Mother Earth at your heart center. And now we send a cord of love directly to Kathryn and all who want to come through. Stay open in your hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, I might stand so that I can see everyone in the back. Okay. And I tend to look off into the distance. Okay, so I'm feeling a lot of energy. I just want to explain to everyone here. So it feels like a lot of energy because it feels like people are crowding because there's a lot of desire to come through. I'm feeling the presence of a woman. She feels like she's a mother. She could be a mother or like a mother, but I'm going to say she's a mother. And she is coming forward and she is showing me something in the chest area. She's also, okay, she talks fast. She also may have developed Alzheimer's later in her evening. And she's also showing something with her legs. She may have had poor circulation in her legs, and she's showing like her legs feeling thick and wearing shoes that help to support her circulation or help support her standing. So let's see what else I'm getting from her. I feel as if she wore glasses that she felt expressed her personality. So she may have particularly liked to pick glasses that were a bright color or had a different shape, unusual shape to express her personality. Does anyone recognize a mother, grandmother in spirit that matches this description? Okay, thank you. Can you tell me your name again? Andrea, okay. So your mom in spirit, can you tell me what evidence you can take? What matches?
Here, legs, glasses.
Okay, and mother in spirit.
And
Okay,
mother.
okay. Do you understand her being a fast talker? She's like, I'm just forming one word and you're giving me 3 more. Okay, I'm getting chills too. If anyone else is getting chills, this is spirit working in us. And I believe that as much as spirit is trying to use me to communicate with you all, spirit's also working with Andrea so that she recognizes her mother, and working with all of us so that we can feel energy in this room. Okay, so your mother is showing, she's showing that she's a really fast talker. She's showing that she had this vibrant personality, this very vibrant personality, and that she did something important that was like an important part of her identity in her life, like her career or the way she moved about her life. So the identity was really important to her. And one of the hard things about her illness was the way it affected her mobility, but also the way it affected how she saw herself. And that was difficult for her. Does this make sense to you, Andrea? 100%. Okay. And that was challenging. And she's showing that she actually had challenges with her ego. She thought that she had let go of her ego. She'd done a lot of work on herself. She was, really thought she kind of had cleared a lot of things. But then when this challenge with her health came, she realized she had more to clear. This was really hard for her to see herself in a new way. She had created her identity in a way that she felt really fit her, and that was important to her. She was very expressive and authentic. And then when this illness came, she felt like the way she looked was imposed on her without her consent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. She is giving me tons of chills. She is very bubbly. Let's see, she is... Okay, I'm asking her now. So then what I do... Okay, so I forgot to explain the clairs that I'm using. So let's see. With the glasses, that was clairvoyance. I could see her glasses. I could also see her legs. With the stomach, I could feel it in my stomach. That's clairsentience. With her personality, it's a knowing. I feel like I'm her. It's like just that download knowing. So I guess it's a combination of the knowing and the clairsentience. And now I'm talking to her in my mind. So this is like telepathic, I guess, with spirit. And I'm asking her, what do you want to say? Why are you here? Why are you showing up? And her message, I feel, is she is showing this enthusiasm. And she's showing me pennies and coins. So I feel like she may be showing you signs and you're picking up the signs. And this enthusiasm and this excitement. And she's also showing me that you have something coming for you. So this isn't evidential. I do evidential mediumship that you'd recognize, but every once in a while it'll make sense later. Something is coming for you that's going to surprise you and be a really good thing. And it feels like, wow, I couldn't have predicted that. And your mom is showing like she's part of that. She's like making these things come. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your mom and how this relates?
Yeah, so right away, I'm not surprised my mom came in first. I told you if there's a line my mom's gonna cut. She's extremely bubbly, fast talker. If she were here, she would know all of you. She would have a conversation within the first 5 minutes, find something to vibe with. She was just amazing. Next, where you hit home, when you said here, she had a feeding tube. And she had esophagus problems, so I right away knew that. Another thing that you touched on that hit home was she had talked about how much she hated what she lost her mobility. She had been in a wheelchair, I don't know, 3-4 years before she passed, and she just was so weak in the legs, and she had to have on those cuffs to keep circulation, and I just really hated her appearance. Her hair was thinning from nutrition, and she talked about a lot because in her earlier life, my mom was beautiful. I mean, she still was even when she was older, but when you go through the process of dying, your body changes, and it's part of it, and she just hated her appearance. So you really hit on that. She wore glasses. She had a couple different pairs. So when you brought that up, it takes me to the different pairs she had. Like she had like I think it's called tortoise, and I think she had like a maroon. Like when I put my glasses on when I work, I see my mother in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my God, like she gave me her face, like I see her. So a lot of that stuff that you hit on was just like drives it home. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I will see who else is coming through. All right, this feels like a father or grandfather, and I immediately was drawn to the neck, and I felt as if I could see his throat, like his vocal cords or something, like his esophagus, something. I could see that. So he feels, let's see, he feels a little bit more formal. I feel as if he would have worn outdated clothes. Let's see what else he's saying. There's more in the back as well. I feel that he just showed me himself in a hospital, so he would have passed in a hospital. Something in the back feels like he would, so I'm seeing him in a hospital bed, but I feel as if he was not there for very long. So he may have been transported to the hospital towards the end. It also could have been like a hospital type bed in a nursing home type situation, because I'm not seeing the bright white walls. So let's see, does this make sense for anyone with the throat, a father or grandfather, outdated clothes? He's showing me, like maybe he did something with like outside, like fishing, loved to fish. Oh, yes.
I think it's my dad.
Your dad? Okay, so what can you take with your dad?
So he loved to fish. He smoked. He died of brain cancer. He was in the hospital for just a few days because they took out a tumor from his glioblastoma. So he was only there for post-surgery, but then he got an infection in the hospital.
Okay. Yeah, so it felt like it was very quickly that
Very
he was
quick,
in there.
yeah.
Do you understand the outdated clothing?
I don't.
Okay, yeah, it just feels like, and maybe he's giving me like older father vibes or something.
So I'm from the Philippines, and in the Philippines, the men wear this kind of formal thing called a barong, which is like an old, like Spanish, like it looks like a suit,
Okay.
but it's made of like really thin fabric, so
Okay.
it's very formal, but it's like
So formal,
like kind of like yeah,
traditional formal.
Filipino
Okay, so maybe that's
kind of-
more it was. That's
Yeah.
okay. So that's interesting. Okay, so when I was connecting with him clairvoyantly, I was seeing him in the hospital. Clairsentiently, I felt in my throat for his esophagus. And then with the fishing, I was like kind of seeing, so this was like a reference. I was seeing like the Gordon's fishermen, but that made my mind say fishing, enjoyed fishing. And the kinds of evidence that I like to bring through is I like to bring through their personality, cause of death, hobbies, interests, anything to tell the full story of the person, because we're so much more than how we passed. We're so much more than our job. But the evidence, they'll talk about things that you'll recognize, and they'll talk about things that were important to them or not important to them. So let's see what else, if he's showing anything else. In his personality, I'm getting a sense that there was a quietness to him. There's this like man of few words, but more like very intentional with his words. And, but I also feel a deep love. And so I feel as if you would always know that he loved you, but he wasn't, always expressing it, but you knew, you didn't doubt. And I feel he had a deep love for your mother as well. And he's also coming forward with gratitude for the way that he was cared for at the end, because he feels like there were people paying attention to what was going on with him, because he wasn't able to really advocate for himself, and other people were advocating for him, for his care. And he felt so secure in that. Now he's taking me to his actual crossing, and he's showing me that he's showing me that there was an option for him, a fork in the road of healing or crossing. And he knew that healing would take a long time. There would be a lot of interventions, a lot of doctor's appointments, a lot of things. And he felt as if he was given an option to stay and be under medical care, but that was not the quality of life he wanted. And so he said, I understand. He's like, I can read the signs, I can read the room, and I'm ready. I know I'm completely loved, and I'm ready. And so he was able to say, I think this is my time. Does that make sense to you intuitively? Would you? Yeah, because I don't think he would have.
Hospitals, he hated doctors.
Yeah, so he.
I don't want to die in a hospital. I was like,
So that's really subtle evidence, right? Like, that's a complex thing. It's not like a name, but that makes sense to you on an intuitive level, because there are spirits who, would want to fight and stay here for the longest time, right? And so that's evidential that you would recognize that he was like, this is not something I'm interested in going through. There was no lack of love. He loved his life, but I'm not going to be here and do this. This is not what my life is meant to be about. He was ready. So he made that choice. Thank you so much.
can I ask him a question?
Well, let's see. Yeah.
Does he have any messages for my twins?
Oh, messages for your twins.
They turn 18 in 2 weeks, and he loves them too.
Are they boys?
One boy, one girl.
Oh, one boy, one girl. Okay. I feel as if the boy needs to settle down a little bit.
Simmer down.
Just like, I feel like he's kind of showing a lead foot driving. Does that make sense to you?
Totally.
But it's interesting, because your grandfather's kind of like, he could probably drive a little slower, but he's also like, he's a good kid. He's not actually being reckless or thoughtless or careless. He's ready for the next stage of his life, and he wants to get there fast. He's like ready to be a grown-up, and he's like, yeah, I'll get there fast because I'll have it all figured out. And of course, your dad is like, I thought the same thing then. You learn that you're not totally ready for it, but that's part of the process. Does that make sense with your son? Okay. And let's see with your daughter. It feels like your daughter is very observant and trying to figure out where she belongs. And she has a lot of doubt about that. So she's like, do I belong here? Do I want to study this? Do I want to study that? And she's not really sure yet. And she's putting a lot of pressure on herself. She's putting a lot of pressure on herself that she has to figure it out. And she wants to be someone who knows. She may have a close friend who knows that they want to do this, and they've always known, and that's just what they're going to do. And your daughter doesn't really know. She's still figuring it out. So I think his message for her is go ahead and figure it out, because that friend who thinks that they know exactly what they're going to do, they're going to get a big surprise and find that they want to do something different and have to sort through that. It's okay to not know. Does that make sense with her? Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, do we know where we are on time? Because I lose track of time.
4:15, so we've got 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Okay, so let's see. Let's see who else is coming through. Okay. I feel like there's two people coming through, so I'm going to... Okay, I'm just going to work with whoever is first, and we'll see what this is. I feel like this is a male. He feels young. He crossed before his time. And I feel as if he may have had a issue with addiction, or possibly took something and there was fentanyl in it and he crossed with fentanyl? This is you? Okay. And it was an accident. Okay. Are you okay with me continuing? Because I just
haven't heard from him in a long time.
Okay. So he's here for a reason, obviously. He knows that you're grieving him. And I feel in his personality that he loved life. He was like, I want to experience absolutely everything, which is why he, as a soul, pushed boundaries and tried things he wasn't supposed to try. Because to him, it wasn't to him, he wasn't escaping life. He was digging in deeper. Does that make sense? He was like, I want to feel everything. I want to experience everything. And I know that there's a risk, but there's also a risk of like playing it safe. Let's see. He is, does it make sense that he was struggling with addiction towards the end though? Okay. So it wasn't like a one-time experience. He was struggling with addiction and, but he wasn't
trying to overdose.
Yeah, he was not.
Like that. It was a complete accident. He always was like the guy who would party too hard.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then one day it just got the best of him.
Yeah. He liked to go deep. Would you understand him having a previous, I feel like he's showing me either a previous overdose experience or getting so close to the other side. He's showing me you, which is just reference to, I believe that he may have taken so much at some point to have had similar experiences to yours and been on some level wanting to party, but on another level trying to access that again. So he didn't moderate because he was fascinated with what he saw, and he was drawn to that and curious about that and became more curious about that than what was going on around him. So it wasn't like he was having an addiction to, he was an explorer of this other side. He was so fascinated. If he could have worked for NASA, he would have been on the rocket, So it's this level of curiosity, which is an interesting thing because a lot of times society tells us that there are people, that addicts are always just devastated and depressed and hiding. Some of them are seeking, and seeking and explorers and into consciousness, and they're it's just part of their soul's journey to experience this in a different way. It leaves a lot of pain for us when we miss them, but he would have suffered if he had to just be in 3D. He didn't feel in place here. And once he got a taste of the other, he's like, I want to know more about that. I think what he's saying to you too is, because the evidence often is baked into, the message is often baked into the evidence. So he keeps talking about his altered consciousness thing, right? So what he is saying is that he is now living in that altered consciousness place, which is a sense of peace and comfort and feels like home to him. So he's not suffering. He knows you're suffering. He knows his family's suffering, but he's not suffering. He's also, I feel, coming with a group for the collective of how cool is it that we're learning how to access this without having to be dangerous, without having to risk our lives, right? He's giving us validation that we're doing what he did. He just only learned that way to do it. He didn't have telepathy camp, to practice and do this. But we get glimpses of what he's seeing and what he knows here. And because we're doing it this way, we can still walk in our 3D that we're meant to walk in and have a taste of that. So he's like kind of like clapping for us, like, good job. That's so, keep being bold, because you're doing it in a way where you can get, so he's saying where you can get farther with it, because you're not going to hit that finish line that he hit real fast. We can explore this for years and decades. Okay, thank you.
Sorry for crying. It's just last time I talked to him, he was like, why are we still here?
Yeah.
You need to do something about this grief. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Tons of chills with him. He's a strong energy. He's also, did he feel out? So he felt out of place here. He was like, I'm not even sure I'm human. Like, I don't really I feel like I got off the train at the wrong exit, and he, like,
Never really had a chance here, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He didn't fit in with society in any way.
Yeah.
And that's what we kind of saw in each other.
Mm-hmm.
He was magnetic, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I feel like he had he just had a knowing that there was more, and probably energetically that made his energy more expansive too, because he was like, why is everyone pretending so much, So, okay, now how are we doing on time?
4:22.
So how much time is left?
What, math?
Like
20 minutes.
Okay, I'll do one more. Okay, so let's see who this is. Okay, I just got sister. And this feels like a female. Well, it is a female, so it feels like a female. She feels like sister, so she would likely be a sister to someone here, or a sisterhood, or sister. That energy of sister would be strong. She feels young, and she's showing herself in pretty clothes. So I feel like she would have liked taking care of her clothes. Clothing would have been important to her, keeping it nice, keeping it clean. She also may be showing that because you were like opposite, maybe like not as organized with your clothing. So let's see what else. And she feels, I just keep seeing this girl. She looks young, and I feel like she's wearing pink, and it feels like a pressed cotton dress. Does anyone understand this sister in spirit? She may not be your sister, but she could have been a sister to someone important. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what she's saying. Okay, so I'm just going to say this because it's popped into my mind twice, and then I will move on because these are sort of difficult ones. But there's a possibility that this is a sister to someone who is here, so it may be a lost child, like someone miscarriage, or someone who wasn't born but has a brother or sister here, so would be a sister to that person showing up in this, because they often, for me, if it's a baby who didn't totally come through, they show up in like baby doll dresses, like the dresses you'd put them in as kids. So it's very hard to validate a spirit that hasn't come through. So anyway, so I'll just move on from her. Okay, this feels like a grandmother, and she's showing herself with a strong personality. She would have been losing her memory as she got older, but very stubborn and wanted to keep living independently. But the other people in the family would have been saying, I think it's time for you to move in with us or move somewhere else. But she was very stubborn and very much in denial that she was forgetting things. So she wanted to live independently. I feel as if she had a bit of a fiery personality. She would have been strong in the family. She would have maybe been the boss of the family. Does this sound like your grandmother?
It's
she was a grandmother. It's my dad's sister, my aunt.
Okay.
Passed pretty recently.
Okay. And she would have wanted to make her own food. She would have wanted to be independent. But the family would have been worried she's going to leave the oven on. So she was like passable. She would have been able to pass, and she was pass as independent, but there were concerning things happening. I feel she's showing me a door wide open. She would have left the front door wide open one day and come into the house to do things, and the family would be like, you can't do that, that's not safe. Does that make sense? Do you have a memory of the door being open, or is that symbolic?
I think it would be it's the door to her going out to like her pool area.
Okay, so there was a door wide open. Okay. And you would know her to be, because this is like the clairsentient, claircognizant blend. You would know her to have had a strong personality in such a way that she would have been used to getting her way. Because she would just insist on it. And she had this confidence about her and this insistence. And so she would be used to getting her way. And so when her mind started to go, she was struggling with both the knowing, the slight knowing, but the denial that she was losing her cognitive abilities, but even more so that she was losing control of the narrative, losing control of her autonomy and her self-sufficiency. She didn't want other people making decisions for her. She wanted to be in charge of it. And so this was a really big challenge for her, and she would have been, I feel like she just would have been irritated that other people were trying to make these decisions because it was causing her to see herself in a way she did not want to see herself. She's coming through, though, with gratitude that people did not listen to her, because on a soul level, she knows she needed the help, and she knows that if she wasn't cared for, if people weren't looking out for her, she could have walked out that back door and into the pool. And as it was, her crossing was more peaceful because she had a bubble around her that people did, even though the people in your family felt kind of mixed feelings. Are we upsetting her? Are we aggravating her? Because she doesn't want us to act this way, and we want to respect her desires, but we think we know better, but she's got such a strong personality. And she's coming forward and saying, you did know better. And I'm really glad that you didn't listen to me, because I was able to cross with dignity.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
I guess is she able to have any other connection to like my family members that have passed before her now?
So she would be with your family. Is her husband in spirit as well?
No, but like both of her parents and then her older brother.
Okay, because there's a male. So
Very close
her
to
older brother, she's showing her older brother is right there. And her older brother is like, you were stubborn from day one till the end. And he's sort of like joking with her about that. The other thing she's showing is you have something of hers, a piece of jewelry, or maybe there's a piece of jewelry that you want of hers that you'll see, and she wants you to have it. She wants you to have it and keep it and feel it, and she may want you to feel into it and feel her energy and practice with that with her as a way to connecting with her, because you're so good at connecting with these objects.
Yeah, it might be this keychain that I actually intended to give to her daughter, and wanted to get more of those for like her children and stuff, and it hasn't really worked out, so I haven't given the one, so I've had it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think she likes you having it. I think she likes you having something of hers and keeping it.
Yeah, it's my dad's sister who passed like really pretty recently, and her name is Susan.
Okay. Well, thank you. And thank you all for holding space for everyone here.
I was under the impression that they were kind of more in their higher self when they passed over.
There is, people do say that. That has not been my experience. My experience is they retain their full personality. So if they do release their low vibrational density things. So their doubts often will release their fears. All of their physical problems go away. So your physical pain, addictions, those go away. But they don't necessarily know better. So asking them for advice, probably not, mostly they want to come forward and say, I'm so proud of you, I love you, and I'm sorry. And that's pretty much it. So sometimes people will say, I really want to have a message or guidance. And I'm like, unless they're like a really good business person and you would have gone to them in life, they don't necessarily know that. Yeah. But you could go, and this is why I do mediumship and Akashic, but you can go to your higher self, because your higher self is just you with everything else. So your higher self is going to give you better advice than like your dad.
Yeah. And
our
ancestors have their own agenda, right? It may not be in your best interest.
Yeah. But they generally just come through with a lot of love, gratitude, apologies, things like that, but they retain who they are. And we all still do, which is why I think one of our most important things is to be who we are. This is a lesson I'm dealing with too. Be who we are, because that's how we recognize each other when we don't have our bodies, is being who we are, and also, nobody's going to recognize you through a medium someday. If you're just, they will, because they'll say, well, he was always trying to be like everybody else. But is that how you want to be remembered? No, you want to have your quirks and your loves and, everything. So, yeah.
Beautiful. How do you feel after you do that? Because you look like full of life and energy now.
Ooh.
How does it leave you?
It's a lot of energy. So if you think of when you meditate and connect to divine energy, I'm getting all of that. I feel it all. When a reading starts, especially for a group, I feel there's 15 people in my clothes and in my body with me, and I'm just and then slowly they move to the side and it lightens a little bit. But it's usually, it's good. Sometimes it will be overwhelming if it's a really big group, or if I have to end quickly and someone really wanted to come through, but there wasn't time, because they're going to stay with me and they want me to go find the person. And I'm like, no, you tell them to book with me on their own, I don't have time. Yeah. So, it just depends. It can always depend. There have been times where I feel like it's draining, but I feel like that's more the energy of the room. If the room is full of heavy grief, I'm going to probably be feeling that grief more than this. I would associate that more with our human feelings than with...
Yeah, I was going to ask more about the emotion, how you're saying that you feel those things,
Yeah.
but I don't see you emoting those things. And so I'm wondering, is that how you've always been? Is that a way that you learned to could you talk just more about that?
So I feel that when we're getting spiritual downloads and spiritual hits and spirit communication, we're getting the full understanding of the feeling, and we can feel a piece of it, but it's not overwhelming us, and we stay neutral. And partly that's because that's my job, is to keep delivering the message. If I actually get into the feeling of it and start crying, I can't actually do the work that I'm here to do. So it keeps me neutral. There have been a couple times, especially at the beginning of my mediumship, where after the reading, I would feel all the feelings later. But that was a lack of energetic boundaries that I had to learn more about. It's not meant to make me feel bad. It's meant for me to share what they want to say for you. It's really not even about me at all. I'm just meant to share their message for everyone else here, and I'm supposed to be as empty as possible.
We have a couple of minutes. I just want to tap into everybody and just see, did you tap into your clairsenses at all? Because I was experiencing it, and it was really beautiful. A lot of clear empath.
One thing I didn't share, I just was sharing with Andrea, like, I didn't want to, like, disrupt your channeling and that, but her mom was speaking to me, and when you said, like, you'll feel it and goosebumps and stuff, like, literally her mom was going, oh, you see, she just said that, it's me, and she was saying, take my daughter's hand, take her hand, and I was going like, ah, and I was like, okay, she keeps saying that, and then she was twiddling with this, and she was like, get that out of her hand, and comfort her, and she's going, comfort my daughter, her name's Andrea, do you forget? Comfort her. Oh my gosh. And I did, but like it was coming through, and
Yeah.
I was going like, okay.
And so, but think about how you were able to process listening to me, feeling yourself, and hearing something else. Like, that's basically what it is with mediumship. It's like, this. But like, that's us also living this life, but leaving just a little bit open for our intuition to come in. And you can see how it's a strength and something to develop, but we're all capable of doing it. But if we notice, so like, if you see 11:11 on the clock, and you're like, oh, it's 11:11. Like, often we're doing something else, and then we have a spiritual nudge to go look at it. And then we look at it and we go, oh yeah, well, we're probably getting spiritual nudges to like look at a certain tree and talk to a tree or something else. And the more we leave that little door open for the nudges, we'll start seeing more things.
You know her number as well?
Is that?
1111 is my number.
There you go.
And that's my.
No, I didn't know that.
That's my
Yeah.
social plan.
Yeah. And I'll just say one last thing. So, because I have noticed that a lot of people with these spiritual nudges will think that they're meant to follow every nudge. Like, oh, it's 11:11. What was I thinking then? Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. And it can make you feel like manic and like, what am I, and you're on this like goose chase. There's something in relationship therapy called bids for connection, and it shows that people who respond to bids for connection from their partner have a healthier relationship. And a bid for connection is basically saying, oh, look at that beautiful bird. And if the person goes, oh yeah, that is beautiful, you're probably going to have a really good relationship. And if the other person's like, yeah, whatever, I'm looking at my phone, you're not doing the bid for connection. I think a lot of these spiritual nudges of 11:11 are just bids for connection. And the more you're open to it and go, oh yeah, I see the 11:11. That's all you need to do, but that's strengthening your relationship. It's nurturing it with the spirit world. And just notice them all and be like, thank you for showing me that. And then move on with your life. Don't be like, what was my thought at 11:11? Now I have to quit my job. Do that,
Did you guys notice that on the WhatsApp chat? I can't remember who it was, but somebody messaged something. It was at 11:11, and I wrote 11:11. I don't know if because we're not really looking at our phones, but because you were just talking about 11:11. But I know other people are really attuned to numbers.
Yeah.
But it's often like 11:11 is the first number you start seeing because it's ones. It's it's also kind of in the tarot, it's this beautiful like happiness card, and it can be a marriage card as well, but it's that kind of awakening, and
yeah.
So it often shows up, especially around spiritual type of.
And it's good to get excited about it, but not read too much into it. Yeah.
Given your line of work, I was curious if you could share your thoughts on, like karma and do we have soul tribes? And then for those of us who don't get along with our families, was that chosen or was that karma, like from a past life? Like, what's your theory on?
I've found both, and we talked about this at lunch yesterday. I found both. We do have soul tribes, but we don't always come in with them. Sometimes we choose a random family. And sometimes we choose to enact things. But I have seen more in my like Akashic readings, I have come across more people than I expected who have just basically said, Coach, put me in anywhere. And then they just get like thrown into a family. It's not necessarily their soul family. Maybe there's a lot of trauma. They weren't necessarily choosing the trauma, but they wanted to be here. And so they said, on earth, yeah, they wanted a chance to come back. And so they were like, I know I've got resilience. I want to be part of what's going on in the world. Just put me anywhere. And they often will end up in a family with like lots of kids, you know, or some neglect, you know, because they just on a soul level knew I can handle it and I'll come in for the possibilities. There's limitless possibilities. So I feel like not everyone is choosing, oh, I want to enact this one karmic thing. Some people are like, I just want in because it's a world of possibilities and I'm ready to grow and I want to be a part of it.